Hello and welcome to the 10th episode of Lost Art of Conversations with your host Joe
and Paul.
Before we start, let's make sure everyone knows where to find us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Lost Art of Conversations and on Twitter at Lost Art of Convo. You can also search us by our podcast name on wherever you listen to your podcasts and on YouTube. And just remember to follow us and subscribe so that you can get instant notification when a new episode drops. Today's episode is titled To Be 10 Again.
Oh, to be 10 again.
That's what everyone always says, right? Like, but not necessarily 10.
A kid. Like as a kid again,
to
right?
Be a kid again.
To be a kid again.
Right? So this episode, Paul, it's our 10th episode, right?
Yes, it is.
It's a milestone number.
10 is the milestone, yes.
Why is 10 the milestone for people?
Let's start with that. It's a nice round number.
Yeah, okay.
Right. I mean, it's...
But
I guess
but it's two numbers, Paul.
Well, because if you're like...
It's a 1 and a 0.
That's right. Oh, that's right. It's two digits.
All round number.
It's double digits.
Double digits.
But if you're like 5, you're like, okay, it's 5. Yay. But 10 is like, yeah, it's 10.
Yeah.
10th place. It's not good. 10%, that's not good either.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're going to celebrate our 10th episode.
Yeah. So, okay. Like even like 10th anniversary.
Oh,
like,
okay. Yeah. You could do it that way.
Yeah. Like we're talking about like milestones through time, not necessarily like being the 10th best at something.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sad.
Yeah. Well, it's not sad if it's a million people.
You're right.
Right.
But number 1 is always better.
So with that being said, I think
that's
like celebrating things with numbers are relative to what you're celebrating. And relative to the significance of the number.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So when we started this podcast, I don't know where we're gonna go with this podcast, but I think considering that we're like putting out one every couple of weeks, right? Yeah. 10 episodes, it's a lengthy time because we started quite a while ago now.
Yeah, right. And it's they're an hour some long, and the editing, the social media, all that. So it's a little bit of work, but we enjoy it. So
So we thought. To celebrate the fact that this is episode 10, that we would kind of have a little bit of discussion regarding like when we were 10, right? So, like the years that we turned 10, we're obviously, people will know our age after this.
That's right. They can do the math. Right.
So I'm a year older than Paul. So the year that I'm going to be talking about for the most part this year will be 1989.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Paul got the nice even number.
That's right. It's a good math number because it's like I base everything off of an even set point. So it's 1990.
1990. All right. So it's a new decade.
That's right.
Paul has a new decade. I've got 1989. And in thinking about this topic, what's kind of cool about it too is that because like it's a long time ago. And like some people that are listening to the show might not have even been born. No,
that's right. Yeah. Right? Actually, some of the items here that I have are like born in that year. And it's like, what? They're only like 30.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of one cool aspect about it. The fact that it's going to be like a little bit nostalgic in that we're going to be talking about things that some people may not even know what they are currently, or they may not have ever heard of it because of the fact that like that they weren't even born at the time, or they may have been very younger than us.
Younger than us, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's cool too is that I think maybe when we're like going through this, I don't know, I'm gonna make this prediction. I think that we're gonna maybe realize that like a year sometimes makes a big difference too.
Oh yeah, like I mean, when I was looking at a few things that happened that year, it's like never ending. I'm like, oh man, like there's a lot of significant things that happen.
But even also the differences between 89 and 90, like we might see. I'm wondering. I'm actually interested in seeing, first of all, how many things Paul says that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, that did happen in 1990.
Well, you know what? Then I have a very interesting one to start off with. Then.
All right, let's start.
Okay, so basically, we're going to go over what happened in the years
that we were 10.
That we were 10. Yeah. So 1990.
Yeah.
So one of the main things are. Now, this is from research on the internet, so hopefully the dates...
We couldn't remember this stuff.
Oh, I can't remember anything. Yeah. I don't remember what happened last week.
Some things I remembered.
Yeah, some things I remember. That's right, yeah. I needed to jog my memory.
Yeah, because it came back into our RAS.
A reticular activating system. So basically, certain things that, hopefully the dates are accurate, because, the internet, sometimes they tend to have incorrect information, but I'm going to go with what I found.
Yeah.
So in 1990, believe it or not, so, we're looking at all these tablets now and all the, all these things online and things like that. The World Wide Web was first proposed by Tim Berners-Lee and Robert, I don't know how to say his last name, but
Paul
Calliope or something.
You know what?
And that's what it is.
It's messed up that you're using that one, because
Really?
I had to erase that one from mine
Oh, there you go. See?
because I couldn't get an accurate date.
See, there you go.
It's funny that you said that, because so
I looked at a few sources and found 1990. That's what it said.
Okay, so because I got the same name as you, but like I got things like HTML.
Right.
And,
yeah.
And so I was looking it up, and I was like, okay, it sounds about around that time. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. And then I went to go research, and like most other sites that I found sourced it at 1990 or 1992.
Well, there you go.
So
yeah,
it was, and it wasn't 89 at all.
No,
so the
right.
original source that said 89, I think was incorrect.
Well, I mean, hopefully the 1990s is correct, right?
But it's cool though that we were both we both
yeah.
came across a similar thing.
I thought that was like a cool thing. Like,
it's a huge thing.
The internet was invented, or the thought about it was proposed by these two people.
Yeah, the concepts leading up to it.
And look at what it is today.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just, I think the first thing was, if I recall, I didn't write notes about it, but where they had proposed, where I guess a network connectivity where you can communicate across certain distances or something along that line with different computers.
Yeah.
And that was the internet.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Right. So that was kind of a cool fact.
And a lot of people, like when you talk to people now, like, and they talk about some of the most important inventions of our lifetime. Oh, that's one of the that's typically one of the ones that's mentioned.
Right. So it's funny, that's the case, because the year before that or whatever, there wasn't any.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no internet.
Yeah.
So before 1990, there was no internet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it took a few years to develop it. So even 1991, 92, 93, maybe there was just developing. But yeah, like that's kind of crazy.
It's a cool concept to think about.
We actually played outside.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, but if you think back at like even like all types of inventions.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Imagine that turnaround, right? Like, so like.
It's probably the greatest invention of all time.
Paul, the year before the toilet.
You see, there you go.
Right? Like, what were people doing?
They were going to the bathroom on the floor.
But you know what I'm saying? So like, we struggle, but we are able, because of our age, to remember a time without the internet.
Yeah.
Because of when it occurred in our lifespan.
That's right. Even cell phones, the same thing, right? It's
like
they didn't exist.
Yeah, the cell phones too. Like, I remember a time without a cell phone. There's going to be people that are not gonna remember that.
No,
some that are already living that don't know.
They're like, hey, you didn't have the internet. What do you mean? What does that mean? They don't understand
like what they're
it is.
saying even about like kids that were born during COVID and seeing people without masks.
Yeah, so all of you younger listeners out there, there was no email. There were no text messages. There was nothing.
But Paul, you just said email. I bet you some people don't even know what that is. Because even
maybe
email
not. Oh, yeah. There's all text messages now and social media and DMs.
Yeah.
Call it DMs. That's just a text message, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's what
it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like, does anyone ever MSN message each other?
Oh, man. How about ICQ? Remember that thing?
ICQ.
I used to be obsessed with that thing. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. You can text online.
Yeah.
ICQ.
You know what? It's pretty crazy now that we're even just talking about stuff that's internet based or like computer based, about how quickly things change.
It's only 30 years.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, now it's like, it's commonplace. If we don't have the internet, it's like, I don't know what's happening. With the world, right?
Yeah,
so
that's a really good one,
nuts.
Paul. I like that you started with that, especially because, like I said, like I had something similar, and I was trying to like confirm that it was 1989, and I couldn't confirm, so I actually ended up removing it from my list.
Well, there you go.
Because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to give out misinformation.
Yeah.
But in my research, I found that anything I found was related to 90 and 92. I don't know why the difference there, but it was mostly related to after 1989. Okay. So my first one, Paul, is in 1989, the Nintendo Game Boy was released.
Oh, 89?
89.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah, I think I bought
so
one.
it was the first 8-bit handheld gaming system. Okay, so my first question is, did you own one?
100%.
Because I didn't.
What was it, Game Boy?
Game Boy.
Yeah, 100%.
So I
still have it in my basement.
I had the Game Gear.
I had Game Gear too.
The Sony one.
That's
not
right.
the Sony one. Was it the Sony one? No.
It was
It was the
I
Sega.
don't think they had Sony back then. No, it was Sega.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sega
Game Gear. I
Yeah,
remember that.
it was wider.
That's right.
Yeah, and the cartridges went similar to
A similar thing.
the Game.
But didn't it have like a disc? Like a small, almost a DVD looking thing?
Yeah, it was a little
Something
bit more
like that?
advanced.
Or
Yeah, it
was
was a
it
little bit
something
more
else? I don't
advanced. Whereas there was more of a cartridge for
That's right.
for the Game Boy.
Nintendo, man, or Game Boy. I mean, I had probably a few of those.
But it was black and white at first.
Yeah. It was pixel. It was 8-bit, pixelated.
8-bit, yeah.
It looked like a calculator.
People are probably thinking like some like kids will be like, "What are these guys talking about?" Like it was basically like Nintendo's version of an iPad.
Oh yeah.
Before iPads came out.
There's no
But
color.
Small
There's
little
no
screen.
There was no rounded
Yeah.
figures on it. It was
Yeah.
all pixelated.
The controls were similar to the Nintendo gaming system itself.
Oh yeah.
I think obviously the Super Mario Brothers games were the ones that were the most popular.
You know what's funny? So my son had, I still had Super NES in the basement, the original.
That's so cool.
And I bought the connector on Amazon to connect to the HDMI of the TVs because the red, white, and yellow didn't work.
Yeah, because
so anyway,
you had to change it.
we had to change it. So I connected it just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And he was playing Street Fighter.
I know.
Isn't that crazy? I was playing it too.
I have the new ones that they came out with. Like
all digital that have all the games included.
All the games.
Yeah,
in
that's
one.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I wish I would have bought more than when they came out because they're worth a lot now.
Oh yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah,
like they're hard to find. You can't get them.
Yeah, they're hundreds of dollars on
I've
eBay.
looked.
Yeah.
You know what I want to find? Zelda.
That's on the
Gold
one that I have.
The gold cartridge.
Yeah.
Zelda and Link.
Link and the
and
original
Zelda,
one.
yeah.
Legend of Zelda
Yeah.
and Zelda 2, the Adventures
Those games
of
were
Link.
impossible, man.
I
don't know.
You know what, Paul? Every once in a while, I still play them. It's in my basement.
You know the new Link ones?
Yeah.
Aren't they like graphically amazing? Like, isn't it like a...
Apparently.
I haven't played it.
But Paul,
Damn, I gotta
it's
get back.
worth... Honestly, I think one day you gotta come over to my house. We gotta play some Legend
I think
of
we
Zelda.
should.
Yeah, it's a fun
Go
game.
back to
But
1989.
Nintendo Game Boys, yeah. So like, there was a big hype around it because it was like the first time that like people could go and actually play games like handheld games, right? Like,
Well, you could take it anywhere.
Yeah.
Battery powered.
Yeah.
You put 4 AA batteries, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And we always say like we talk about a lot of times now about like even Apple being ahead of its generation and like always coming up with new stuff, or like different companies, right? Like Nintendo back then, like they came up with that. Then they came up with like the Nintendo Wii, which was like the first time that like it was more of an active gaming system.
Yeah.
Then they came up with that new version where you could play it on the TV, but you could also carry it around with you. So it was like a portable system. And
I
because that's what their version.
Well, now they have the Switch, right?
Yeah, the Switch. That's what it does. You can
Yeah.
switch back and forth. You can.
Oh, that's right. You can put it on
Yeah.
the stand and it goes to the TV. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool how they've been able to change their technology to go with the times. But
So it's funny we talked about Nintendo just for a second because somebody had told me a long time ago, invest in Nintendo because they're always going to be around. And I said, well, yeah, come on. And they are. Look at that. And they're still innovating. And if you look at the reviews for the games on Nintendo, like on Amazon, they're all like 5 stars.
Yeah.
Every single game.
Yeah.
90% of the games.
Yeah.
It's crazy to
But
find
it's a different type of game.
It's more an adventure type of game, right?
Yeah.
Like if you go on like PlayStation, or like mostly like shooting games, Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah,
or whatever.
Nintendo's like role playing.
That's right.
Like stuff like
more
that.
fantasy-ish
fantasy
type of games. Yeah, definitely.
I think some people would say even like more kid friendly.
More kid friendly. You're right. Well, that's true. It's
but
true.
you know what? Maybe they're smart with that, right?
They are, and
Right?
that's the
their
market.
niche.
That's the market, and
Yeah.
they've basically creted everything around Mario.
Yeah.
And Luigi.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of it's cool.
Paul Mario never ages.
He doesn't age. Still
He
has the
doesn't age.
mustache.
I know. Seriously.
And the red
So that
suit.
was my first one. I thought it was cool because I did remember looking back that the Game Boy came out around the late 80s.
Right.
But I couldn't remember when, because I know it was roughly around 5 to 6 years after the actual real Nintendo came out.
Yeah,
but I
that's right.
couldn't really wrap my head around it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so I'm gonna jump into TV and movies.
All right.
Now, I don't know if I should mention all of these, but I guess I'll mention them all because it's
when I
quick.
do mine, I think I'm gonna peruse and go through ones that are like I know you would like, or that like people we know would like. Okay,
well, I'm gonna say about 3 or 4, and then we can talk about them because they're kind of everybody from our generation knows what these are. Okay. So in 1990, I can even say the exact date. So October 4th.
Are you doing movies or
I got to do both. Okay. I got to do both. So on October 4th, 1990, Beverly Hills 90210 first aired on Fox, I think it was.
I love that show, Paul.
Yeah, Beverly Hills 90210. Not Melrose Place.
I watched 90210. I didn't watch Melrose Place.
Yeah, you know what? I watched 90210, and it was basically the version of, I guess, like the OC kind of thing.
I don't know why, but watching those shows back then, I felt like Melrose Place was a little bit more adult.
You know what? Yes, it was. Because there was older...
The situations.
They were older, not actors, but portrayed older people in that. Yeah.
It was nighttime soap, which Beverly Hills was too, but Beverly Hills were adults pretending to be high school kids.
That's right. That's right. They were like 30-something. So they were like, I'm 16 or 18 or whatever. Brendan. Right? Yeah. But so that was one. Yeah. The next one was another show.
Okay, but before you go on, Paul, were you Dylan or were you Brandon?
Oh my God! Honestly, I watched them, but I didn't really watch them, so it's kind of like I don't admit that I gotta watch them. I watched but actually, the guy still. Who's the actor there? Not Luke Perry. He passed away. But who's the other guy?
The Canadian guy.
Yeah,
I forgot his name.
He's got some movies now, or he's on a cop show.
Yeah, he's got that cop show.
That's right.
They actually, the reason why I know even about that cop show is because they aired an episode in Schaumburg where I live.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that guy's name?
Yeah, I don't know, Paul. I'm not like
Everybody out there, they're screaming the name, and we can't hear you.
I don't know the
name. Okay, so I mean, if you want to go, I can just say. Okay, so basically, the next one was Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Wow, really?
September 10th, 1990.
Wow, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
Because that's a show I still watch with my kids.
Right? Yeah, it's still on with it, despite what happened to Will Smith and all that. Not recently, but. It was a great show, man.
Yeah. We used to watch you imagine if right now during the podcast I got up and slapped you across the face?
I can imagine. Yeah. But so that was one. That was another one. In Living Color.
Wow, April I loved 15th, watching that.
Me too. So that was a skit show. Yeah. Basically like Saturday Night Live. Yeah. And it was funny, man.
It was so funny.
It was fun. Isn't that where Now, don't get me, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, he started there.
He started on In Living Color. Yeah.
Fire
Which was Jim
Marshal
Carrey
Bill.
portraying this firefighter who always, he's basically like, he does dangerous things. Yeah. And he shows you not to do them, but he gets into trouble all the time doing them. It was hilarious.
You know what? In Living Color, like so many amazing, funny people came from In Living Color.
Well, the Wayans brothers. They're hilarious, right? I watch a bunch of their stuff. Yeah. And a lot of people, man. That was a funny show.
In Living Color.
That's right. Anyways, the last one is a movie, which is also a massive one. Okay. That my wife loves this movie. Okay. Pretty Woman.
I love Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman was released on March 23rd, 1990.
That's a classic. Pretty Woman. Like,
everybody.
I love Julia Roberts.
Yeah, honestly, she's a great actress. Yeah. Richard Gere. Yeah. Like they're massive stars.
Even George Costanza is in that movie.
That's right. He was the partner. Yeah, the business partner. Yeah. He was hilarious, man.
George Costanza's in that movie. That was his first bit before Seinfeld.
You got to say his real name though.
Something Alexander.
Jason Alexander.
Oh, is that his name?
Yeah.
I don't know why I wanted to say...
he's George
I almost
Costanza,
wanted to say Steve Alexander.
No,
I don't know why.
Steve Alexander. That just doesn't
Is that a different... Is that somebody popular?
You know what? Probably.
That's called Steve
Probably.
Anyways, yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was... those were the biggest ones that I found that I remember anyway. Okay,
these are classic things here. Like Pretty Woman. Yeah. Right? Like, this is a good year for movies and TV shows.
Like Fresh Prince is still being played now. Yeah. Pretty Woman, still being played.
Pretty Woman.
90210 not so much. I haven't seen that.
90210. They
remade it.
They did the remake.
They did the remake. Yes. I don't know if it was as good, but yeah. So those were the TVs and movies that I found.
Nice.
The ones that I remember that I watched.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's that.
I'm gonna do follow with you and do movies as well.
Sure.
Okay. It's movies and just one TV show. And I think the thing that kind of amazed me about looking at movies and TV show for 1989 is that when I was looking back at it, I'm like, I think it should have been Paul that turns 10 in 1989.
Come on.
And you'll know why.
Okay, go ahead. What was that?
First of all, one of the most popular movies that came out in 1989 was Back to the Future 2.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Amazing. Yes, I remember that.
So Paul's a huge fan.
Yeah, because 1 came out in 85, I think.
Yes.
If I remember, yeah.
1 was earlier, right? Because number 1 comes before 2.
That's right.
It was the year of the sequels.
Yes, it was.
Right? And the reason why is because the other thing that came out that was also a 2 that I think you would like, actually 2 2s.
2 2s.
2 for 2, 2, 2, is Lethal Weapon 2.
Oh, that was
another movie that I know you would like.
I watched all of those.
Ghostbusters 2.
No, that was awesome.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Okay,
I should have been born in 1989.
These are Paul Gabriel movies.
Wow.
Okay. The next one, because of like a word I like to say, goes more with me, Uncle Buck.
Oh, that was a great movie, man.
Yeah, but that was a great movie, right? And we talked about this the other day, or at the other episode, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, man. Those honestly, they're all classics. I don't know,
like a lot of time travel here, man. A lot of sci-fi, because the other one is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, come on.
These are all
that's amazing.
Are crazy classic movies.
Those were honestly all my favorites.
What about I know Paul would probably like this as well. Talking Babies.
Talking Babies.
Look Who's Talking.
I was gonna say, I'm like, Talking Babies. It's gotta be Look Who's Talking. Yeah, John Travolta.
Look Who's Talking.
Yeah.
And the number Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh my God.
Like classic movies.
These are all 89?
89. All
really?
89. Okay.
Oh,
I haven't even gone to them. None of these were the top grossing movie.
Before you continue, so Weekend at Bernie's, I keep trying to find it somewhere to watch it.
It's
literally
such a classic movie.
I like number 2 the best.
I forgot. Like those movies just kind of become one.
Oh yeah.
Like,
no, honestly, like
know,
it's
right?
oh, man.
The number 1 grossing film of 1989 was Batman, the original one, the one with the
Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
really,
the one with Joker,
the Penguin. Oh, Joker. Sorry,
yeah.
Joker.
Yeah,
Penguin
the one with the Joker, right? And Paul, I mentioned all movies, but this is the reason why this was your year. Not only because of Back to the Future, not because of Bill and Ted.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it. What is it?
The Simpsons premiered in 1989.
Wow.
Like, come on.
That was a great year then, wasn't it?
Right, yeah, because like that is one of Paul's all-time favorite shows.
Yeah, that I think I've watched every single episode.
Yeah. So I mean, like honestly, we got like Back to the Future. Like we did episode 9 was about going back in time. Paul may go back to 1989 after listening to these movies and
especially because at that age you don't have any cares.
Wait till we get to the music.
So, I have a few.
Yeah,
but that like you want to like you have no care in the world. You're just like I'm just gonna watch movies. Those are the. I think those are the 10. Only movies I watched.
Yeah,
I didn't watch Star Wars to be honest. I didn't watch maybe some Indiana Jones. I don't know what year they came out.
Actually, that was one of them too.
Oh yeah, okay,
I didn't put it here.
Yeah,
but that was the second highest grossing
movie. Yeah. The
second Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, it's all sequels. I'm telling you, 1989 was the year of the sequels.
So yeah, that was. I remember Back to the Future. I watched number 1 in the theater.
Yeah, that's
when I was like 5, 4, 6, 7, whatever. And at the end when they're like to be continued, I'm like, no,
what?
No.
Yeah.
And then I watched the next one.
It's
pretty
crazy.
Yeah, it was amazing. Now I watch them all the time.
All right, Paul, you're up.
Okay, so I could do music. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So music, I have like 1, and then I have like some birthdays that people were born.
Oh, that's cool.
Year.
I forgot to do that.
Yeah. So So it's gonna be one thing about music, and then actors that were born in 90, and you may be like, oh wow, that's crazy, but. Here we go. So music. Now, all of you out there who are, around our age who will remember this. It was a big scandal at the time.
All right.
Big, massive scandal. Can you guess what it is?
Wait, so it's
Huge
music?
scandal. Music.
Okay,
I think you're gonna guess.
I
it.
think I'm gonna know.
Okay, let me see.
I think I'm gonna know. No. I think I'm gonna know just because I know what happened in 1989.
Okay, fine.
Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli.
Girl, you know it's true.
Yes. So 89 was
when the songs came out.
That's right. In 1990, they were stripped of their Grammy Award
because
they lip synced their most famous song.
Yeah,
Girl, you know it's true.
It's true. Yeah,
and they were stripped of their Grammy, and it was a huge scandal because they didn't sing it.
Paul, it was like, number 8 on the billboards.
Right now, not only did they not sing it like in music videos, like a lot of maybe
like, or even live sometimes,
whatever.
Your voice, whatever.
But they never sang it.
Yeah, it was not them.
It was not them.
Yeah,
they couldn't sing, and they won a Grammy. So how nobody found out about this before, I don't know. But that's crazy.
Okay, Paul. Okay, this is an honest question. I want to know if I'm the only one that thought like this, but. When it came to Milli Vanilli, right, it was a group.
It was 2 people.
Yeah. But I always used to say as a kid, like, who's Milli and who's Vanilli?
What are you going to say? Milli or Vanilli?
Or Vanilli.
Milli or Vanilli.
Meanwhile, neither of them were called Milli or Vanilli.
No, they weren't. It was like John something and Jack something. I don't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense.
But... yeah, so that was the scandal, and then...
oh, man. You know what it's amazing about that is the fact that when I saw the Milli Vanilli songs on my list, I got excited because I listened to their songs. Girl, I'm gonna miss you.
Oh, yeah. Everybody used to like them, man.
And I totally forgot about the fact that they got caught for lip syncing.
Right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was at 89 at first, and then I looked into it. It's like... so the scandal started kind of around there, but they were stripped of their Grammy in 90.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then I'll just do quickly a few dates of some actors and musicians. The Weeknd was born on February 16, 1990.
Oh, interesting.
The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart, born in 90.
Yeah.
Emma Watson, born in 90. Margot Robbie.
Wow.
Yeah. Jennifer Lawrence.
Wow.
Yeah. And another was Liam Hemsworth. So like the Hemsworth brothers, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are the most
some of the more important like actors.
That are famous now and whatever.
People,
so it was kind of interesting to know that. So they're like 30 years old.
Yeah.
Oh boy. And so it's crazy.
Yeah, 10 years old.
What were you doing at 30, man?
And some people were just being born.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
But anyway, that was it.
All right, so I'm gonna go through some songs, Paul.
Go ahead.
1989 had a good mix of songs. We already talked about the Milli Vanilli songs, Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You. And we talked about the Girl, You Know It's True. Okay.
Right.
Which it wasn't because they were lip syncing.
That's right.
But Paul, straight up now tell me.
Do you really want me forever?
Paula Abdul, straight up now tell me. I like Paula Abdul. I'm not ashamed to say it.
What happened to her?
I loved Mariah Carey growing up. Okay. And
that was another one. Something happened in 90 and I was like, I don't really know what this is.
Yeah.
But it was Mariah Carey. Something with Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
She won something.
Yeah. So Paula Abdul, okay, aside from like that Cheetos commercial.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there was a Cheetos commercial where she's like with the Cheeto cat. Like they were in a video together or something. I remember this, Paul.
Oh, wow.
At some point I gotta check.
You were more obsessed than I was.
but so straight up, that was one of the top songs.
Yeah.
Another song that was one of the top songs was, and I know Paul will sing this too when I say it. Paul, are you the wind beneath my wings?
Oh man,
that's a classic.
Yeah.
Bette
Midler.
Yeah. I almost didn't say her name properly. Man. I don't know why.
You are the wind.
Yeah. So that's another one. The next one would be a song that if Tom was here, he would like belt it out. It's a favorite artist of myself and Tom, and I think you like him as well.
Let me guess. Richard Marx.
Richard Marx. Right
there
here waiting for you.
Oh, that was honestly, but it's amazing. Those songs.
A nice song.
Yeah, those are amazing songs.
And then. And I guess there's a couple other ones I wanted to say. You know what? The other Milli Vanilli one that we forgot about.
Right.
Blame it on the
Oh
rain.
man, that was huge.
How did we forget that?
I don't know, but it was like that and the other song.
Yeah, it's
were number one and
it's
two.
a 3-hit wonder.
3-hit one. Not really, because they didn't sing.
So so that like music wise, those were the top songs, and it's funny because like these songs, like when I think of them, like there's some classic songs that I remember from back in the day. There's another one was Bobby Brown, not humping around. My prerogative.
Oh, that's my prerogative.
Good one. Okay.
Oh,
so
man.
yeah, so a lot of good song, a good blend of songs too.
Yeah.
Like they weren't all just like slow songs or there's a blend of upbeat, etc. So yeah, that was the
All right.
year in general. Those are some of the songs on the top 20 on the billboards.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you know what? I remember them all.
Yeah,
To be honest, and
yeah.
we used to sing them even late into the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Even
for
today,
sure.
to be
Yeah,
honest,
even
like
today.
just even some times we listen to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go to sports now for a second.
Yeah.
Now
I wish I had done sports. I didn't do sports.
of all things you didn't.
I don't know how I didn't do sports.
Okay, well you can elaborate then,
Yeah.
because you're like know everything about sports.
Well-
for me, I'm the opposite completely.
Well,
But-
the only thing I don't know if I'm going to predict this or not, but like there was a World Cup in 1990.
okay, so see, there you go. I didn't write it down.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Italia 90.
that's Italian. So I put like what I thought were not, I guess, significant for the sport.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just have two things.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, okay, I'll move on to the next thing. So,
Yeah.
okay, number one. In 1990, John McEnroe, the tennis player,
Yeah.
Wimbledon, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I loved
Very
watching
famous,
tennis
whatever.
back then.
He was known for his profanity, all that, yelling
sure.
at everybody.
He
all the
was a good
refs.
tennis player.
He was a great
Yeah,
tennis
yeah.
player. He became the first player ever
Okay.
to be expelled from the Australian Open in 1990.
Is the word expelled?
It said expelled, so
Okay,
he got
we'll go with
booted
expelled.
out.
Yeah.
Booted out for,
Yeah.
I guess, yelling at or
Oh, okay.
something
Yeah.
happened or whatever. So,
So
that was a significant event.
is it?
It's the first time ever.
Okay, so I don't know if you know
In
this
tennis,
or not,
yeah.
but
yeah.
did it happen like in the final, semifinals?
I don't know,
Okay,
but in tennis, it's
Yeah.
like it's unheard of.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't get
yeah.
booted out in
To be
tennis.
booted.
It's
He
more of
must
like
have
a
done something
proper
extreme.
sport,
Yeah,
right? Where
yeah.
it's like golf. Like there's certain, respectives to be, respected.
Yeah.
And
There's an etiquette.
There's an etiquette. That's the
Yes.
word, right? So that happened. That was in tennis. So now the other thing was Wayne Gretzky in 1990 scored his 100th point
Oh, nice. Okay.
for the 11th straight season,
Wow.
and it was a milestone
Yeah.
basically. So the 100th point of the season for the 11th straight season.
It wasn't the 10th.
No, it wasn't. That's right. So that, because
Interesting
everybody
enough.
knows Wayne Gretzky, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obviously he goes on to become the
Yeah.
best ever kind
Yeah.
of thing. So that was one of the other milestones. Now,
Yeah.
the other stuff in sports were like, there were some boxing things where like, I think one of them was like Evander Holyfield or something, knocked out, whatever. Oh, there was one about Mike Tyson
Yeah.
that
Biting
I
someone's
think it was the first time he got knocked out by another guy.
By Buster.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Was it when he
I
lost
should have
the
written
ball?
it down.
Yeah.
But it was like the first time ever he got knocked down,
Buster
and,
Douglas or
and
something
that
like
was
that,
it,
yeah.
like a knockout, I think.
Yeah.
So that was
It might
another
have- yeah, it might
significant
be.
event.
Yeah, like 1990, like I like thinking back, like of sports, like I was so obsessed with watching sports back then, mostly baseball, hockey, etc. It was I'm just trying to think, like I said, 1990, Italy hosted the World Cup. I remember that was that was the first year that I remember watching the World Cup, because the World Cup
really?
before that was 1986, and I was only 7.
Okay, there you
And
go.
so I don't have recollection of actually like sitting in front of the TV and like
Right,
obsessing
watching or
about it,
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
1990 might have been my first sticker book.
And that started a chain reaction.
Exactly. But I remember because like, Italy was hosting, and I was like,
Yeah.
I also remember it because of the fact that we went to Italy that year.
Oh, okay, there you
so
go. Yeah.
we had our flight. We were leaving for Italy the Monday after the World Cup.
Oh man.
So the World Cup was ending on the Sunday,
Really?
and it wasn't. it wasn't Italy in the finals because I think Italy lost to Argentina in the semifinals.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That
And I
sucks.
think the final was like Argentina, Germany.
But you went after.
We went after.
the
But I
World
remember
Cup.
being excited because of the fact that I'm going to Italy
Right.
for the first time since I was a little kid where I could remember. Right.
Yeah, right,
because
right.
I went as a kid. And then I was like, oh, wow. It's like the World Cup is happening in Italy. Like when we went there, people were still talking about the World Cup because it was just happened. It happened in Italy.
Especially in Italy.
Like all these people from around the world were in Italy to watch the World Cup. So it was a
yeah.
big year for them.
Yeah.
But I remember that was the first year that I started getting obsessed with like watching like soccer and stuff like that because it was like, you know, the country where my parents came from, we were going to Italy
and it had
soccer,
the World Cup.
World Cup, everything. So everything kind of came together in 1990.
Well, there's still a lot of fans, you remember, going around going crazy still.
Well, they
even
did,
though they
right?
lost,
Because
but
in general, like we like it was pretty fresh. So like I said, we'd go back like when we went to Italy, like people were all talking about the matches and like how exciting it was and like the chaos of like hosting the World Cup, right? So
right.
yeah.
Huh.
So
Okay.
that was pretty
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go with my next one in 1989, and my next one would be, and actually, like when I came across this, I actually remember this scandal because it was a scandal.
All right.
Okay. But I didn't know that this was the timing of it. But in 1989 is the Like a Prayer scandal.
Like a prayer.
Madonna burning crosses in
man.
her video.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So I don't know if you
completely
remember
uncalled
that.
for. I do remember
But I
it,
remember the chaos around it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
during the time when
Yeah.
it happened.
Yeah.
Like everyone talking about it. Like
Well, no kidding.
like,
That's a significant thing.
like the fact that like because Madonna was pushed the envelope a lot of times with things that she did, and a lot of times people weren't sure if it was just to like get attention or if she was really that messed up.
Probably.
Right. But the Like a Prayer thing was something that like we hadn't really seen before.
Yeah.
And it impacted everybody, and it had such an impact that she was dropped as the spokesperson for Pepsi.
Oh, wow.
Right, because they didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Because they're like,
well, no
we're
kidding.
going to lose
it's
our
kind
business.
Of a,
It's a huge thing. The Vatican, like,
I'm sure they had an uproar.
Yeah,
for that.
The Vatican was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it was interesting because I don't remember where I was when I heard about it. I don't remember the context of it, but I remember it being such a huge deal when it occurred and everybody was talking about it. It was like just the big news thing during that time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going basically against what everyone believes kind of thing.
Like,
it's going to affect somebody.
Like, to me, that Like a Prayer scandal, it's one of those moments, I think, just like when that whole thing happened with O.J. Simpson. Right? I don't even know what year that was.
I don't remember.
Right? But like people talk about, I remember on TV watching the van or whatever.
But you know what? The song is good. I like the song.
Yeah,
Like a Prayer.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
But that's kind of a you don't. I guess it's like that in general. Like even lately, if there's scandals, everybody always does something, then eventually it goes away, and whatever it is, what it is. They make such a big stink about, especially like CNN. They beat it to death.
Yeah, and the thing is though, but like if you think about it, like the irony of like somebody like burning crosses in a music video, and then like years later, like coming up with children's books.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like a.
You're just going with whatever
with the
wind.
wind, and it's like, okay, that's what it is now. That's what I believe now. I don't know. It's
it's almost like she's going with the wind beneath her wings.
That's right. That's right. Very nice transition.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you, what should I make points of, science or history? You pick, like Trivial Pursuit. You pick.
I like we talked
you
about in the
like
previous
the
episode. I suck at history, so I maybe go with the history first.
Okay, with the history first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna pick one that we're Italian, so I'm going to pick one that's something to do with Italy.
Okay.
So in 1990, in January.
Okay.
Now, there was years before where they had talked about this stuff, but in January, this is what actually happened. So the Leaning Tower of Pisa was closed for the first time ever due to safety concerns of it falling over. That was in January of 1990. So
it leans too much.
It leaned too much. Yeah. And they had to close it down because it was sinking on one side.
So my question is someone constantly like with a protractor at the bottom of the leaning tower?
Wow, you know what? Maybe somebody's walking on and they said, man, this thing's moving.
Yeah.
Right? And
I don't know.
so to preserve it, they had engineers and structural engineers try to figure out how to stop it from leaning.
Of course.
Or not stop it from leaning, because that would mean,
falling.
It's no longer the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
It's one thing to lean.
That's right. Yeah. So they stopped it from falling.
Yeah.
I don't remember what angle it is.
Yeah, of course.
But anyways, so that's what it was. And it had originally been, I'm going to just read it here. It had originally been constructed over a span of about 200 years between 1170 and 1370.
Wow.
Right? Like, that's crazy. And the tilt began to form almost immediately. So they built this thing and it started sinking right away.
I have always wondered, like,
and they built it
the
because
story of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Like,
it was a poor foundation.
So it wasn't meant to be leaning.
No, it was straight.
Yeah.
And then it started to lean on the one side because the soils and all that weren't stable enough to support the concrete, right? Yeah. And the structure. But for it to be like right away and for it to last.
Do we know who created the Leaning Tower of Pisa? Like, was it Eileen Dover?
Wow. Wow. I did not see that coming. That's pretty funny. Let's pause for a minute and think about that. Yeah. That was pretty funny. Yeah.
But it's...
Maybe it's the time of day, but that was fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know why that came to me. But like, all joking aside,
can we?
All joking aside, that was a question I had though. Was like, was that an accident or was that meant to be? Right.
And it says that they had to straighten it out by more than 18 inches for it to stay up on an angle anyway. So that's crazy.
Like at the time.
Well,
like
in 1990,
when they saw that it was
in the 90s they had to restrain it.
Did they go through any details of like what type of equipment or stuff would have to be used for something like that? Yeah, because I was going to say
I think they just pulled it with a cord. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I don't think they did that.
No, because it's just interesting, right? Because you got to think, right? Like if you're trying to take a structure that's currently like leaning more than it should be, and then you're trying to like move it back, like, how much damage are you potentially creating? Other damage, right?
Well,
like residue.
I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah.
And I to be honest, it's probably open. I don't know. Last time I went to Italy, like way back when, it was closed in 1990.
Yeah.
So
like closed meaning like you can't
go up it.
Yeah, you can't go.
Yeah.
Up. Okay.
Because it's.
But is the Leaning Tower of Pisa like something like RCN Tower where like they have like elevators to go up, or is it just stairs? Like I was wondering that.
I think they're just stairs, to be honest. Yeah. If the elevator's in, it's on an angle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not structurally sound.
It's a diagonal elevator.
Yeah.
So it's most likely stairs.
Okay. Yeah, that was an interesting idea, or an interesting thing that happened that year. Yeah. I'm gonna stick kind of to music,
sure,
but like moving on to a little bit of dance.
Oh boy.
And so in 1989, even though this dance was around a little bit before 1989.
Oh, let me guess. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
It became popular in 1989, or hit its peak popularity due to Michael's sister, Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation video.
Okay. I have no idea what it is.
The Running Man.
A Running Man, really? Yeah. Not the moonwalk.
No. So the Running Man. Yeah. So the Running Man it peaked in its popularity because of that Rhythm Nation video.
Now,
so I remember the Rhythm Nation video. Like it was like, I don't know if you remember, but it was that Janet Jackson video that was like with all those dancers, and it was like a really long video.
Okay.
And I remember because like Janet Jackson is like one of her things she's known for is like her dancing along with the music, right? So I remember the video being like a really good video, and but I could not place the Running Man from it, right? Because I just remember watching that video and thinking, wow, like this is a pretty crazy choreographed video, etc. for the time, because I think there was also like a lot of like robotics involved. Like Rhythm Nation was like it was like a lot of like robotic movement. And so like there's probably people listening at home thinking like these guys are out of their minds. They have no clue what Rhythm Nation is. But that's what I think it was. Like I just trying to remember.
We're hypothesizing right now. Okay.
We're making
That's right. All this is fake.
Yeah.
No, that was so the Running Man. So now it's for people who can't dance. I think
the Running Man. Yeah.
Before I remember people doing it at like school dances and stuff. Yeah. And now it's like if you do that, it's like okay, move somewhere else.
The Running Man. Yeah.
That's pretty
because
cool.
I mean it's not a like a dance that like you know you dance with other people.
No, you do it alone.
Yeah.
You run.
And people are observing the Running Man.
On the spot. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I guess it would be almost like you don't break dance with a second person.
No, that would hurt.
Yeah. It's a solo dance.
That would injure people.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually,
so the
Running Man. You just invented something. Couples breakdancing.
Couple breakdance. I think that exists.
No, but breakdancing while holding on to another person.
Well, it's just dancing.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. If it does exist out there, please
Paul,
let me know.
I believe they made a show about it. And it's called "So You Think You Can Dance." Dance.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the dancing thing. It's not something I've ever like done myself. I've never done the Running Man, to be honest with you. I probably at the time tried to do it at school because I was at elementary school.
Do you have video of yourself?
No, I don't. Okay. Because Paul, video. Come on, this is 1989. We're talking about.
Wow, you could have did a stop motion picture or something.
Yeah. All right, what's your next one, Paul?
Okay, so I'll do science now.
Yeah.
There's two of them, but let's pick one of them here. So, because my son loves these certain things, I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
In 1990, the most complete skeleton of a T-Rex was found.
Oh, wow.
In South Dakota. And they named it Sue after the person who found it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to read it again. So it was discovered in Faith, South Dakota, believe it or not, in 1990. It was named Sue after the person who discovered it. Sue was over 90% complete and measured about 13 feet tall. 14 tall and 40 feet long.
Wow.
40 feet long. So that's pretty crazy. So it's a complete T-Rex skeleton.
Yeah.
And it was the most significant discovery
ever made. And I'm assuming that it
made
was like some sort of like
dinosaur.
anthropologist or something.
It was. It doesn't really.
But I mean,
kind of mentioned
like it wasn't just someone walking the street be like, "Oops, I fell over a bone."
Right. And it was sold to the Chicago Field Museum for $8 million. They bought it for. Yeah. Wow. So I guess I don't know if it's still on display to this day. Yeah. But that's kind of crazy. Eh? Yeah. That in just South Dakota, they just found.
And I mean,
dinosaur.
Think about like how many kids love dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, my son loves them.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Right. So it's just like they're just there. And
it's something that like
I think its head is as big as like a 8-10 foot table or something. It's crazy.
And imagine like. So I don't think I wasn't really into dinosaurs as a kid myself.
I
remember thinking it's cool, but I wasn't obsessed.
Yeah, me too. Same thing.
Right? If I had been more into dinosaurs and that happened when it did, I probably would have been like, wow.
Oh yeah, it's kind of impressive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well here's the thing though. At the time, certain of these discoveries are like, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like now, if we say like, oh, somebody's going to space, we're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But back then, it was like, oh, this is
it's huge.
Significant.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they do it every other day.
Well, yeah, because they lose some of their shine, right? Because it's like, been there,
definitely.
done that.
Been there, done that. So, okay, what's next, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of maybe when somebody goes to Mars, I don't know. That'll be the next thing. But so that was one of the significant scientific discoveries, I guess, that happened in 1990.
Yeah. Back then, that would have been a headline.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right?
Definitely.
Like now, it's like
sideline.
We landed on Uranus.
That's right. Right.
So my next one is it. You know what, Paul? I'm not really a car guy.
A car guy? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not obsessed with cars. Like for me with cars, it's more like the utility of it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I like a nice car, but like if a nice car drives by, I'm like, oh, that's a cool car.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not one of those guys that like obsesses over cars.
Over different types of cars.
Yeah, like that's just not my thing. Like I had like dinky cars as a kid, and like I played with cars, whatever, like a lot. I used to race cars, whatever. But it's not something like I'm more of a sports person. You know, you know, when people like go with like those like prejudgments of guys, like, oh yeah, if you're a guy you like cars, if you're a guy you like sports, right? Like I would go towards the sports.
It's like you like them, but you don't obsess over them.
Yeah. So because ironically, it's ironic. Ironically, I find it ironic that I think I'm more into sports than you, and you're more into cars than me.
Yeah.
You didn't pick cars, and I didn't pick sports.
Oh, well, there you go. That's crazy.
It's kind of.
I don't have cars anywhere on here.
And actually, the only reason I like, the only reason I even brought up the cars is because when I saw this car, it reminded me of like Tom's baby blue Accord.
Oh my. Okay, you got to tell me what it is.
It was the top selling car in 1989 was the Honda Accord.
There it is, Tom.
So when
Honda Accord.
So when
94 Accord.
So when I saw this fact, considering that this is for a podcast between me
let's just
and you,
state that it's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact.
The 90 Accord.
Tom would say it's a fact. Okay. He would say like some Greek guy came up with it, which is not fact. Okay,
it's a Honda. I'm sure some
it's
kind
a
of
Honda
an Asian company.
So it was the top selling car, and like, you know what, like thinking back, it kind of makes sense. I remember like that time frame being the years where like things like the Honda Civic, the Honda Accord, those cars were starting to really get into
reliability, right?
Yeah,
last forever.
Yeah, and a lot of people were buying those cars. They were becoming more popular in North America,
right.
And so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, it was the top selling car in the US.
Wow.
And so again, when I was looking up facts and stuff, like that was one of the things, and it stood out because when I saw like top car Honda Accord, I'm like, oh man, we got to put this in the podcast, right?
We got to put
Whereas like normally I probably wouldn't have even blinked an eye at it.
Yeah, because it's a Honda Accord.
Yeah. Well, and also because I'm not into cars, right? And be like, Honda Accord, big deal, right?
They're gonna say like some kind of Ferrari or some kind of something like that.
That's what I mean. So so that was the top selling car in the U.S. in 1989, Paul.
That's pretty interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to history.
Yeah.
And we're gonna say one thing. Okay, everybody knows this person. I think he passed away recently, but Nelson Mandela was released from prison on February 11th, 1990, after serving 27 years.
It's amazing you mentioned that, because when I was looking up my information in 89, like I found a lot of like information regarding like the lead up to that.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's cool that, because I was like, oh, it didn't happen in 89, so I can't choose it. But but I read a bunch of information regarding like the lead up to all that with the end of apartheid and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting story because it's like the kind of guy that he was. It's like, I would never be able to do that. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
You endure all that suffering and all that, and then you come out and you're like, oh, I forgive everybody.
Yeah.
Like, and then he ran for president.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he did.
And it's kind of like, okay, wow, who does that?
Yeah.
Right. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was a huge thing. It was like such a huge, like, newsworthy item at the time, that, currently would also make headlines still, right? Like, I think something like that happens now, it would still be like such a huge thing.
Yeah, because you don't find too many people in the world like that.
Yeah.
It comes around once in a while. Like, who today? Yeah. Maybe there are. Maybe I can't think of it. Is like that kind of.
Well, yeah, because it's like when we have these conversations, even like when we were as when we were kids, or even we talk to kids and we talk about like even who do you look up to and who's a hero, who's considered
that's right.
a person that makes a difference maker.
Right.
Like, like people tend to like go to like sports figures and like actors
like those
and
kind
stuff
of
like that. Like people that are just like media, like social
Elon
media
Musk
stuff.
or like whatever.
Whereas it's not really like the real important difference makers.
Right. I mean, okay, maybe yes, maybe no, but not like historically significant kind of, remember forever kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good one.
Yeah.
So my next one, Paul. Okay, so I'm going to give you part of the name of this and see if you can guess. Because if I give you part of the name, I think you're going to think something else. That's what I'm trying to trick you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go for it.
Valdez.
Juan.
Yeah. See.
No. Okay, wait. Valdez. No, it's Juan Valdez, man. The coffee guy.
So it's Exxon Valdez.
Oh, okay. See, I was good. I was thinking of that. The oil spill.
Yeah, the oil spill. Right.
Yeah.
Huge oil spill outside of the Alaska coast.
Yeah. Probably still cleaning it up.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember this happening.
Me too.
Yeah,
I remember.
It was a huge thing. Yeah. Like it's 240,000 barrels. About 240,000 barrels. So many zeros that you replace it with the letter K.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
240K barrels of oil. Okay. A lot of animals, a lot of pollution.
Oh, that's nuts, man.
Huge thing. I remember seeing like pictures like on TV, like of like.
How did it happen again?
I didn't get through that.
Hit it or.
No, I think it I don't know.
Ran aground,
I don't want. Yeah, I don't want to give false facts, but well, they wouldn't be facts if they're false.
That's right.
But false information.
Yeah.
But I don't remember, and I didn't go in depth into like what happened. But it was definitely it was a chain reaction because obviously it affects the entire area, right?
For years.
A lot of animals.
It probably sparked like an environmental movement kind of at the time
for sure
about oil and in general the transport of it,
the safety of it
and all that
moving forward and stuff like that.
It's hard to get it out of water,
which is scary because it takes sometimes tragedies to make the changes.
Well, that's usually what happens, right? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we can only predict so many things happening, and then
you
the
can
rest
only
of
come
it
up
is
with so many hypotheticals.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
So in a previous podcast.
So that was an interesting one. It was again something that I remember. It was something that was big enough that made me remember. And I'm not going to go next. I'm going to have you go again. But the last two things on my list after this were also like huge history things that people still talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this one is science. Has to do with science. And in 1990, April 25th, 1990, the Hubble Space Telescope was placed into orbit around the Earth. And it's still there. I think it's still there.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's still there.
Okay.
But it was placed there to basically take pictures of or explore galaxies. So it's a massive lens that's able to see really, really far.
Yeah.
And it's traveling right now at 17,000 miles per hour. And basically it takes 15 minutes to rotate 90 degrees. Wow. It takes this, I guess, even like time lapses of the galaxies, and you can see further away. So these facts say that it has observed locations more than 13.4 billion light years away. I don't even know what that means.
I don't even know what that means.
I know what it means, but I don't know what it means. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a lot of means.
That's right. And it says that this means that it has seen light that existed in the universe 13.4 billion years ago. So.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
Is this true, correct?
Or is someone just making stuff up?
Like, do we really
know? How can someone even say that?
Yeah, billions.
It's all a mathematical prediction.
It's a mathematical calculation prediction, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like even light years.
I don't buy light years.
I don't know. You can't buy them. You can't buy them.
No, but I don't know. There's some things that are I like you're into science probably more than me, But like there's some things that go along with science that I feel like it's like
it's just like
somebody's telling me something and it's like, well, we're all gonna agree with it because they came up with something that if we don't agree with it, we feel stupid.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, once you pass a certain mathematical number, you're like, I don't get it. Yeah. Not that you don't get it. We understand the size of it, but maybe just say,
and beyond,
just say like, it's really, really big. Yeah. It was really, really long time ago. Yeah. It's like to predict accurately. Yeah. Okay. 13.4 billion years. Yeah. Okay.
Like what? Like, how did you get that?
From where? From how? And
like what happens? Like what if that person forgot to carry the 4?
Well, there you go. Right? That's why they double check their work. But I'm saying, okay, maybe there's some mathematicians out there. It's like, there's a calculation. That's great. But all calculations are of that size are estimated. So I'm telling you, there's no. It's not like. That's why you put the squiggly lines with a dot on top. It means approximate. Yeah. Right.
Like when people say, when I teach kids math in school and they say, when am I going to use this?
Well, yeah.
Well, I could just say, just fake it.
Fake it till you make. Now, there are concrete numbers. 1 + 1 is 2.
Yes,
maybe
I know.
Some people will argue that.
But I'm saying like this light years, the thing of light years, right? Like, so somebody's telling us that this thing sees light from 13 billion whatever years ago. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Like it's...
Yeah. Like, how do you know that it sees that? Because mathematically, you created something that based on...
Well, here's the thing. Oh, here's a crazy question. Yeah. What if the universe, like, let's say you said 13 billion light years, fine. Yeah. What if the universe is like, it just stops, right? And it's like painted on the backdrop. And then when you shoot a telescope, that's what you see. This painting of a backdrop. Like, isn't that crazy?
My brain hurts, Paul.
My brain hurts too.
You just hurt my brain.
That's right. Yeah. But anyway, so... The whole thing was that the Hubble Space Telescope was launched in 1990.
It's funny because one of the things that didn't make my list, because I had originally I made my list only 10 items. It's 10. So the 11th item, I
don't know how many I made.
The 11th item, I removed it. Because I'm like, well, I'm going with the theme of 10. I'm going to stay 10.
Oh, there you go.
So I removed the 11th item. The 11th item was that they, during 1989, they put out a bunch of like GPS things into space. So I don't know the full details, but it was similar to something you're saying, right? Like so like it's kind of cool that
like the GPS we use today.
Yeah. So the first time that a bunch of them were put out into space to be able to track.
So you know what's funny? I was watching. I was studying for a course recently, like VHF radios.
What was your boats. GPS on that course?
I don't know, 100%. Yeah. But anyway, so VHF radio. So when you have a boat, you have this radio. You have to take a course to use it. I did. I got 100%. Yeah. Anyway, so. That's another topic. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, when the question is, can you spell VHF?
That's right, VHF. Did I? And you know what's funny? I said VHS before.
Beta.
VHF radio. Yeah. They were talking about all these GPS satellites in space and how you can do global positioning. You can pinpoint your location anywhere in the world. And it's amazing how many satellites are in space now. But also not just owned by like government agencies. Yeah. Owned by like Garmin, let's say. Yeah. There's like hundreds of satellites by Garmin in space, in orbit. And it's like, with all these satellites, where are they all spin? Like, isn't it polluted with satellites up there?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay.
Like,
so my question is,
freaking satellites.
What happens when these satellites crash back onto Earth?
Well, if they fall out of orbit, maybe they all disintegrate and burn up before they hit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to know, like, maybe that guy that came up with that light years thing can actually give us some information that matters.
Idea, yeah.
Right, like this thing coming down.
If this thing falls, will it kill us all?
Yeah,
especially like hundreds of satellites.
Right.
You know? But it's like, I don't know.
It's crazy. Well, at least I was able to watch the football game.
That's right. Yeah,
because of the satellite.
But it's just it was kind of interesting because I'm like, man, it's like you don't even know how many satellites are up there. It's crazy how it works.
So I'm going to go with my next one. My next one was a big one, I would say. It's my second last one. And it is the 1989 is known to be the year that was the beginning of the Berlin Wall coming down.
My God, I wrote that as mine, to be honest.
So the Berlin Wall came
yeah.
down over the next few years,
That's
but
right.
the first part of it going down
Okay, there you go.
was in 1989.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think we could share that one then between those years.
Yeah,
Those
that's
were
the one.
years.
Yeah, because
like,
it was like, it said 89, 90, 91, 92.
Yeah.
And that's when it came down. So that was one of my history.
Huge,
Yeah,
right? Like you just think about like the separation of West and East Germany.
That's
and
great.
just,
why would they do that wall in the first place?
like just the history of like that separation and what it meant for people who were even just like separated from loved ones because of that Berlin Wall.
It's crazy,
right? The thing is that like there's like, if you think about it, like I mean there's a lot of still like borders out there that like would be considered almost like a Berlin, like you know what I mean, like North Korea, South Korea.
Great Wall of China.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was for separation.
But I mean, even like the border between North and South Korea.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot going on in that area.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And even though there's no physical wall there.
Yeah.
Right. Like that is not a border you want to be near.
No.
Because of like all
it's an invisible wall.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I mean, but just the history behind Germany and the wars and everything. It's just crazy, right? So like just to think back, and I remember how huge that was, and I remember even like just watching like even on TV and stuff, like when the wall came down, like people wanting to take pieces of the wall.
Oh yeah, and they did.
Yeah,
they still have, and there's some in museums.
And like just people. Like even just like watching on TV, like people breaking down and crying.
Oh yeah.
Seeing that wall come down, like just
significant.
So significant. Even just like the people the impact it had on people's lives that were living in that area. Right. Or even that moved away from Germany and are like lived in other countries that like know the impact of that wall. Right. So
that was one of the biggest, I guess. Historical things that happened. I mean, it's okay, Nelson Mandela fine, Pisa this is fine. But the Berlin Wall was a huge significance there. So I actually don't have any more.
Okay, so I'll do my last one.
Yeah.
So my last one is more like a tragedy, and I didn't know if I should put it on there, but I thought, you know what, it's something that I wanted to include because of the fact that like we still think about it right like now, and And it's the tragedy that happened in Montreal when the anti-feminist gunman murdered 14 women at the École Polytechnique.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the thing is that like we still like this is something we all every year. The anniversary of it is pretty much we talk about it. It's not a part of history that anyone is happy or wants to remember, but it's important that we like, and this is why like we study history, right? Because we want to like ensure that we get something out of something that happened bad.
But you don't want the saying, as the saying goes, history repeat itself. You don't want it to repeat itself.
Right? Like so, like there's people out there that went out of their way to go and murder young women. They had the notion that like
crazy.
I don't want this advancement of women in our society, and I'm gonna go do something about it. And it's scary thinking about it, right? But I mean, the thing is that like, so we think back to it, we look back to it just like other things, tragedies in the past, and we as people try to be better.
Yeah, well, that's like everything, right? Like even the wars in general, right? I mean, we learn from the past, and you don't repeat it because you want to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And well, it's like this. It's as simple as make a mistake, you figure it out, you don't do it again.
Yeah.
Like to generalize it, if you will, right?
Yeah.
But that's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah.
Then you have like psychopaths who go and do something like that.
Yeah.
Right, to be honest. Yeah. And it's happened later on in the future too. You hear about it everywhere.
Yeah, and
which
it's
is
not it's
crazy.
It's not an individual thing that happened. Like people do stupid things all the time. I think it's just like it's really crazy to think about the fact that like there are people that you think about like when you wake up in the morning and your list of to-dos.
Oh yeah, no
And
kidding.
how
yeah.
like my list of to-dos has to do with like like with my kids, with going to school, teaching, like exercising, eating healthy, stuff like that. And then there's some people out there that they're
nuts.
plotting something. It's kind of scary.
And it's like it's even I can't even think about it. Because it's ridiculous.
And I don't know, like in actually, what's interesting about this whole thing that we did today was that in doing this, it kind of made me want to learn more about some of these things.
Well, yeah, definitely, right? I mean, it's especially you trigger certain memories, like I really like that, right? Especially the music stuff, the TV.
Yeah, like
info.
I kind of want to go back and learn a little bit more about the Like a Prayer scandal, right?
Yeah.
I kind of would like to know, like you said, the Exxon Valdez, like what led to it? Was it like something did the company make a mistake? Was it something like like an accident? Was it really an accident?
That's
right? And then the other thing too is like, even with this tragedy, right, with the gunman, like, I'd like to know, like, even to find out if this person had a history of violence,
for sure,
like, or something like that, right? So you
want to know more about what we had just talked about, right? Like I wouldn't mind watching some of those movies again. Like Weekend at Bernie's.
Like, it's fun, right? Because like we're listening to, or we're talking about some of these songs, and then like as we're talking about them, we can't say the name of the songs without actually singing the name.
That's
of the
crazy
songs.
Because it's so significant in our
and
upbringing.
Like, and like I mentioned The Simpsons, which is a big show for you. You mentioned Beverly Hills 90210, which I loved watching. And also Fresh Prince, and like all those movies, Back to the Future, like Bill and Ted's, like those are all classic. Watch those all again. Those were classic. Like my nickname for Paul sometimes is PG-13.
That's right.
Because Paul Gabriel.
That's right.
Those are classic PG-13 movies.
That's right. And I'm gonna watch them all again.
Paul's gonna go on a movie spree, and you would know from prior episodes that Paul is more of a movie guy,
100%,
than a sitcom,
a sitcom or TV, even a series.
So the fact that I mentioned all these movies, like, and if God willing, Paul's going to be going on vacation in a week.
We'll tell that story in another
depending
podcast.
on what the passport offices say. There's probably going to be a lot of movie watching in Paul's future, like either on a beach or
well, here's just the gist of it. If you're going to renew your passport now, you better start ahead of time, because it will take you months to get it.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say.
It's going to take months. I can't say with 100% certainty, but I have noticed that over these past weeks, Paul's hairline is becoming more like Joe Ragland's hairline.
Yes, it is.
Because of the stress.
It's falling out.
Because of the stress.
That's all I've been thinking about over the last, month?
Yeah.
I'm like, are we going to get these passports? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So getting a passport, and actually my friend Art at work, he's, they're planning a trip too, and they're going to something similar where like they can't get through the passport.
That's crazy.
Like the people are like, well, if you want to come, show up at like 5 a.m. and maybe we'll get you in.
Like the lady today, basically just come and line up, and it's like a 4-hour wait. And we're like, okay, thanks.
And
like,
we can't
guarantee you we're gonna get your passport. Why are you telling me to come then?
So, and again, to summarize, it is a Thursday night. Tomorrow is Friday, because that's how the days of the week go.
Oh, there you go.
And Monday, Paul's supposed to be on a flight.
That's right.
And he doesn't have a passport.
And the offices are closed Saturday and Sunday.
Are closed on Saturday and Sunday.
So
it's going to be an interesting time frame, considering we've been talking about
I'll be letting you know tomorrow what's happening.
For sure. So, we took turns, going through notable news items from 1989 and from 1990. We celebrate 10 episodes that we've done so far of this podcast. I think I speak for myself and for Paul. Like, I've really enjoyed doing the podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
So far.
Yeah.
hopefully we get to 100.
That's right.
Because that's the next one.
Yeah, one day at a time.
25, 50.
One day at a time.
But anyways, like, so yeah, we hopefully, you know, the conversations provided our audience with some cool memories of their past as well, right? Like I said, some of our audience members may have not even been born, but, you know,
even like you know, this will be posted on YouTube as well. So check out the channel, leave some comments. What do you guys remember from the 90s, or when the year you were born, or when you were 10 years old?
Because like looking
we'd
back
be interested
at it,
to hear.
Yeah, looking back at it, they were definitely some interesting years to look back at.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
As always, we thank you for losing yourself in our conversations. And until next time, I'm Joel.
I'm Paul.
See ya.